Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Pushing Buttons Podcast, Episode 7. This is the video game show where we talk about our opinions, experiences, ideas, and general concepts about video games, which we love. I'm Robert.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Kyle.
And today we will be talking about our favorite protagonists, what makes a good protagonist in a game, and just in general, a great character in a video game.
Kind of goes off of the subject from last week talking about single-player games. That's where I came up with this idea in particular. And next week's idea as well, but we'll get to that. That's another topic for another time. I had to get that one in there early this time. The single-player discussion actually got a lot of juices flowing as far as my mind grapes go. And 30 Rock.
Nice.
You haven't seen that, have you?
I haven't, but I like that. That's a good phrase.
Mind grapes.
I'm going to use that.
Tracy Jordan, the character played by Tracy Morgan, is a good protagonist.
Nice.
Segues.
Connectivity.
Innovent. That's the word. That's also from 30 Rock. Innovent.
Interesting.
What have you been up to this week, Kyle? Since last we met.
Well, just a standard work week. Played more Final Fantasy. I completed the main story quest of A Realm Reborn.
Cool.
So now I'm in Heaven's Ward. And I'm taking a break from that for a little bit to dive into Assassin's Creed Origins some more.
Nice.
I played extensively after work yesterday. And I'm starting to get a feel for it now. I'm really enjoying the environments. I just made my way to the Hippodrome for the first time.
Nice.
I haven't done that at all.
I did a little chariot racing. It was pretty fun. I'm really getting a feel for the game's menu system because that was what was kind of putting me off for a while.
It takes a while, especially.
I was like, this is really complex for an Assassin's Creed game.
It seems like the menu system is better for a mouse. Like it's meant to have a mouse controlling it, but with a controller, it's really weird.
Yeah, like right away, like when you boot up the game, just having to use the analog stick to move the cursor is kind of throwing me off a little bit.
Yeah.
The first time I noticed that was Destiny.
Yeah.
And that really threw me off then. But since then, I've gotten used to it.
But I'm enjoying it a lot more. Got to play that for about 12 hours now total. Just doing side quests as I find them and just engaging in the story here and there. But I've been really having fun with it so far.
I'm glad to hear that.
And I also tried another new game, not this week but last week, that I didn't get to talk about because of E3. I checked out Doom a little bit. I played that for about a couple hours, and so far I'm not really feeling it. Compared to other shooters, it's definitely a lot faster paced.
That's the point.
It's supposed to capture that essence of the original Doom 1 and Doom 2. I'm not really sure if I'm quite engrossed in that one yet. Like I'm still kind of feeling my way through that one.
It's funny. That's how I play Call of Duty when I was actually trying to get into Call of Duty, and I gave it I tried a lot. But every time I'd play it, I'm talking about the competitive like team deathmatch modes. Every time I'd play it like I was playing Doom or Quake, and I'd be jumping around everywhere, trying to strafe jump and just getting shot all the time because I don't ever use tactics. I use arena shooter reflexes.
I mean, it's so weird playing a game that fast-paced in a shooter setting again, because I'm so used to taking my time and exploring everything, like with Fallout or Metro or even Doom 3 back in the day.
Yeah.
Survival horror shooters.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not used to playing a game that fast anymore. So, I'm still kind of feeling it out. But, yeah.
How long did you try it? Or how many hours do you know?
Like 2 or 3.
Okay.
Kind of in between.
It took my second installation of the game to actually play it. And even then, it was like after I'd played it for 3.5 hours, I started really getting into it. Got used to the feeling of everything. This is about how long it took me to get into it.
Yeah, so far, the sound effects aren't really as good as I was hoping they would be.
Oh, what? I love that.
I mean, I was enjoying it like when you first boot up the game and stuff.
Yeah.
But I got the shotgun, and I feel like it's not as cool sounding as it could have been. It kind of shoots like a wet noodle sometimes.
I kind of want to hear you try to make an impression of that sound.
Oh, I'm not going to try.
That's a wet noodle sound. Good job, Robert.
Thank you.
Jobbert.
But that was my weekend. That's
Nice.
about it.
What about you, Robert?
Well, I went back and I replayed a game that I haven't played in years, the first Gears of War. And I got the Ultimate Edition through Xbox Live, which was their remaster.
I think you talked about that last week a little bit.
I know we talked about it here.
It was on the podcast.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because I might have just started it, but I beat it this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Finished it on Sunday, and the cutscenes are all redone, like brand new cutscenes. And the game felt really good. Like, it's been a long time since I played a game like that. And it just felt so good to play. The movement and the shooting is just as fun as I remember.
Nice.
That's a
And,
game with awesome sound design.
Yeah.
The weapons sound gruesome, like
Chainsawing
chainsaw.
and locusts.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the splatters and all that. And the story really isn't much in that game, but it's a heck of a lot of fun to play.
I don't like the look of the game either.
Really?
Yeah, it's all gray. It's very gray.
The first one is, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one I played.
They really opened up, like, the second one opened up even more. Like, you go up into the mountains, and you got, like, alpine areas and stuff like that. And they really, because that was a lot of what people were saying when the first one came out. So they really took that to heart, and they expanded it. And
That's good.
but yeah, I had a lot of fun playing that. I started Gears 2, but haven't got very far, and that's about it. I still need to catch up on my Arrested Development. I think I'm like 2 episodes away from finishing the first half of Season 5.
I'm really curious when they're going to add put up the second half.
Yeah.
I want to watch that.
It's really good so far, though. What about you?
I bought and started playing Prey
Nice.
because we were talking about it on the podcast. And
Interesting.
I mentioned how I wanted to play the Moon Crash DLC.
Mhm.
Haven't started that yet because I want to start and go through the single player campaign.
Nice.
God, it's good.
I
It is
know,
a
right?
good game.
It is a great game.
It really is. There's just it feels like BioShock and Deus Ex in all the right ways. Like instead of the augmentations, you have the neuromods.
Yeah.
Or instead of the whatever BioShock called the powers or whatever.
Plasmids.
Plasmids. Yeah.
Tonics.
Yeah. You have the neuromods, which are pretty much the same as the augmentations in Deus Ex. You start off with a wrench as your weapon.
Yeah.
So that's cool. It's very reminiscent of BioShock in that fact. And the open exploration, the non-convoluted crafting system, it's very basic, and it's all you need in a game like that. If you're going to have a crafting system, don't overdo it. And they did not. It's just a really fun game. It's easy to dive into that world and want to look around. I've played it for like 4 hours, and I just got through the lobby.
I hope you're playing on PC.
Of course.
Nice.
I can't play a first-person shooter with a controller.
Don't you love how in that game in particular, like you can use your mouse to click on the screens?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that an awesome detail?
It really is, yeah.
And I don't know if you got the Typhoon or the foam dart gun.
Not yet.
You can actually shoot that and unlock doors with it
Oh, that's
by
cool.
like hitting the screen.
I made one, but I didn't have the Huntress
Yeah,
crossbow.
yeah.
Yeah, I built one, but I had no bolts for it, and I needed the inventory space, so I scrapped it. But
It's really cool because there'll be locked doors where you have to use that to kind of shoot through the opening in the glass
gotcha.
to open the door.
That's pretty cool.
It's a really fun game. I'm really glad you're playing it. That's cool.
That's a game where the shotgun actually sounds like a shotgun.
Yeah.
That has some kick to it. Like I almost feel the mouse jerking back when I shoot that thing.
Cool.
I'm really looking forward to diving into it. And when I went to the security office and found the computer and puts trackers on all the people that are in the station, and you have to, it's a side mission, you can do it or not do it, but locate all the people, it checks them off as you go. It's just an easy way of keeping tabs on objectives or side objectives that you don't want messing up your quest log. It's just little things like that just make it seem very, very good. Even better than it might even have meant to have been. Just like with the little details like that.
Compared to other games of its genre, it definitely adds a lot more of intrinsic detail to the game.
Okay, yeah.
Along with, the only thing I could really find fault with is the enemy variety.
Yeah, I've started to notice that.
But the guns you get later on are just so fun to use. I'm not sure how far you are in the story.
Not very.
Okay, yeah. But I really enjoed the space exploration as well.
I went to my office for the first time.
Oh, okay. You're very early then.
That took me like 4 hours to get to.
You're going to love it. It's a great game.
Yeah.
Really fun.
I'm starting to think it's going to take me more than the average 20 hours to beat.
It took me about 35.
Okay.
And I did everything in the game,
Gotcha.
of course.
Naturally.
Naturally.
I don't think you had all the achievements, though.
No, because there's good and evil playthroughs.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I did the good playthrough.
Gotcha. I didn't even know that.
Like all those people you mentioned, I rescued them all.
I didn't even know that was a thing in the game.
Yeah, you have moral choices like BioShock, where you can go good or bad.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
And it influences
kind of spoiler,
the
but it's cool.
ending of the game.
Nice.
I need to check it out.
I'm surprised you didn't know about that.
No.
Oh.
Like I said, I've gone through the lobby and went to my office. That was it.
Oh, okay.
I haven't found anybody alive yet.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's a really fun game, and I'm looking forward to... I want to play the DLC because I love roguelikes. The random procedural generation and just endless playability. And I really want to see how Prey pulled it off, but I want to beat the game before I do that.
It's well worth the playthrough.
I just feel like I need to get the core of the game done before I get into any of the add-on stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing more on that.
Yeah. I'm
Your thoughts?
excited to play more of it.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. Well, I guess now is as good a time as any to start talking about our main topic of the week. Protagonists in video games are the central point between you as the player and the video game. It's how you get into the game, if you get into the game, and just kind of what game it's going to be and what it means to you. And that's what this podcast is all about, is what the video games mean to us. Not video games, but the video games.
The video games.
What they mean to us. And there are a lot of different ways that we can categorize a quote-unquote good protagonist, whether it's some iconic protagonist like Link or Mario, or something that's just over the top like Kratos, all the way to ones that are supposed to be more familiar to you and that actually make you delve into the character, like choices from Commander Shepard or just off-the-cuff quips like Nathan Drake. And I kind of want to delve into some of your favorites, some of my favorites, and see what we can come up with.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Do you have anything you wanted to say right off the bat, Robert?
Right off the bat, I don't think so. I guess, start off by saying there's like the protagonist where there's more, I guess, character and story driven, where you have a fully fleshed out protagonist, and then there's like the silent protagonists. And I've always enjoyed playing a fully formed protagonist more. Like the whole silent protagonist thing, like trying to think of an example.
Halo or Half-Life.
Gordon Freeman, Master
never played
Chief.
Half-Life.
I guess Halo, yeah.
At least,
Halo's...
He
Master
kind of
Chief
talks,
starts
but, yeah.
speaking.
But like, I guess like Fallout or Skyrim, something like that.
Fallout, your character talks, just it's in text. And your responses.
Yeah.
But
I'm saying
no
like
voice to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking. And those are more just like an analog for you. It's supposed to be like you in the game.
Gotcha.
Instead of you playing a character, it's you as the character.
Right.
And I think I prefer playing a character.
So that's why you prefer Fallout 4 versus Fallout 3? Because Fallout 4, your character is fully voiced.
Yeah.
Whereas Fallout 3...
Or like games like that are heavily not scripted, but story driven, like Uncharted or something like that.
Horizon.
Because it's more like playing a movie instead of, just
And you are a big movie guy.
Yeah.
You like the cinematic experience and to get the story.
I like the storytelling.
I kind of feel, Kyle, you're the opposite of that, and you like to be the character and make your story.
That's very true, yes. I prefer games with a silent protagonist more so than the fully fleshed out character that you play as.
Gotcha.
For me, I mean, I enjoy those cinematic experiences as well. The first one I can think of is Joel from Last of Us. I feel like for that particular genre, having an expressive character adds to the experience more.
That's something that I'm drawing a blank. The developer of that game.
Naughty Dog.
Thank you. That is something that Naughty Dog does very well. And
they do.
Same with Uncharted. Not as much Crash Bandicoot. But
yeah,
like I put Nathan Drake down as one of. I would say that Nathan Drake is one of my favorite protagonists in a game series. Because I think you were actually in the room with me, Kyle, when I was playing Uncharted 2 at some points, and like the room that I was climbing started crumbling down, and I go, "Oh shit!" And then right after I say it, Nathan Drake says it in the exact same mannerism that I had just said it in, and it really gets me with that character. It's a very relatable feeling with a character like that. And
I see your point. Yeah, like having a character that you feel connected to is really important. But if you know me at all, I'm not a very talkative person. I'm more...
I'm not either. Wink.
I mean, I'm really self-reflective, and I look inward rather than outward. And for me, characters that can be a mixture of both, that's what I'm drawn to the most. One of those characters I can really relate to is Isaac from Dead Space. All throughout the first game, he's a mute protagonist. He doesn't talk. And, when the second game comes around, you've been through all that as Isaac. And now he's talking. And he's saying things like, just all these expletives.
Wah,
in reaction.
Yahoo and Yippee.
Yeah. And, there's things he says in the game that I feel like, since I've lived through that as well, I can relate to that character more. And I think that was a really good blend between the silent and the cinematic protagonist.
Gotcha.
But more so with other games, like you mentioned Link at the beginning of the podcast. That's another character I feel is a really good protagonist for the series. Basically, Link is also expressive. Like you hear him.
He always sounds... He gets the sound. Sorry to interrupt, but he always gets whatever sound he makes is the point that he's trying to make. Whether it's the exertion from slashing his sword or for getting up. That sounded more like Mario, but trying to get the horse to go faster.
Yeah.
Specifically, Ocarina of Time. That's pretty much the extent of my Zelda history.
But again, it's not like you're that character. You see him doing everything on screen. I just think for that series in particular, it's like you're on an adventure yourself, and that makes it worth exploring.
Gotcha.
And that's why I love Breath of the Wild so much, because you're pretty much using Link as this guide, and he's taking you along for the journey. And for me, I just love that. That's what I enjoy most out of games.
See, that's kind of where I was really getting into Doom 2016, is because he is a silent protagonist, but just at the very beginning of the game when he's listening to an audio log and he's like, I don't care. He doesn't say I don't care, but you can tell he doesn't care because he just takes the screen and throws it across the room. Yeah, exactly. And you don't get audio logs after that. It's like, you can get exactly the point that you're trying to get across without having him say the words, and it makes you feel so much better than if he would have said, I don't care about this, and then through it wouldn't have been the same.
No, I totally agree. That was actually, I'm really glad you brought that up, because that was a really cool moment in the intro of the game.
It gets right to the point that id wanted to make a game that was more like the classic Doom that people were clamoring for, and not as much like Doom 3. I loved Doom 3. I did.
Doom 3 was awesome, yeah.
But Doom 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. So I really, really enjoyed the presentation of this new Doom, and just right off the bat with the main character just throwing that, it just set the game off on a good note for me.
You make me want to play it more.
Make me want to play it.
Maybe I should work in marketing.
It does say marketing on your business card.
It does, but I don't do that. But on the note of some of the bigger protagonists, I actually made a little bit of a list for some of the more iconic protagonists and whether or not they deserve to be as... I want to discuss whether or not they deserve to be as iconic or legendary as they actually are.
Okay.
And a lot of them are actually Nintendo characters. Because Nintendo, that's what they do. They build a character and then they build a franchise around that character. Between Mario, Link, Donkey Kong, even Fox McCloud from Star Fox, the first couple, they were on Nintendo consoles. They weren't Nintendo-made games, but stuff like that. Do you guys ever, outside of Super Mario Odyssey, do you get into those kinds of characters? I guess you already talked about Link, but...
For, like, Nintendo specifically?
Yeah.
I mean, you are wearing a Mario shirt right now.
I am wearing a Mario shirt.
That's just...
It's more
like, hey, world, look at me. I'm a gamer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's probably why I've never really hung on to a Nintendo console for that long, is because I guess none of those characters have ever really connected with me. Like, I like Mario games, like Mario 64. I played a lot of back when I had a Nintendo DS. I had the Super Mario Brothers or whatever. And
the new Super Mario Brothers?
Probably. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But so I enjoy them, but they've always been more I guess not mythic characters, but characters that are just, I know they're huge, but they're not huge to me.
See, that's where I am with specifically Donkey Kong. I love playing Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2. I haven't played any of the other Donkey Kong games. And I know that he was, the arcade Donkey Kong game is an iconic, classic game, but that character does nothing for me. Yeah. And he gets emotions across when he's... especially after you beat a boss in the original games and he's dancing, especially when he's dancing with Diddy Kong. But I never really got into that specific character. And I've almost been the same way with Link for the most part. I haven't really had that relationship, I suppose, with Link. I don't feel like I'm playing as him. I feel like I'm watching him. And it doesn't do much for me. Mario is not like that for me. I don't know why, but especially with Super Mario Odyssey, and that's why I was trying to exclude it, because Mario Odyssey, for some reason, resonated with me a lot more than any of the Mario games did. It's just how expressive he is in that game, and how vibrant that entire world, I guess all those worlds, or all those kingdoms are. Just I felt like I was playing as Mario, whereas in Mario 64, or even before that, Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3, I didn't feel like I was Mario. I didn't care if Bowser won or not, but in Odyssey, I wanted to defeat Bowser.
I mean, I just see Mario as a giant marketing thing now. I just see him as Nintendo's brand.
Yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of Nintendo is.
That's what Mario started off as, was Nintendo's mascot.
Mascot. Yeah. That's another thing I wanted to get into, was the whole mascot thing.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Like Crash Bandicoot for Sony.
I don't know if that ever stuck as well as Mario or Sonic, but... Yeah. And I think Master Chief was as close as Xbox got to having a mascot.
Mascot characters don't really stick with me as much. Yeah. Link's the one exception, I think. I just feel like that's the whole point of the character, is to be a celebration of the brand.
See, with Sonic in particular, I hate watching any of the cutscenes in any of the 3D Sonic games. And I loved playing Sonic Generations, even the 3D scenes, and I don't get 3D Sonic and why that's fun, but I loved that game. I hated the cutscenes. I don't care to hear that character talk. When you're playing the original Sonic games and even the new Sonic Mania, you can tell his attitude by the look in his face when he's running, or when he's waiting, he's tapping his foot and looking around. You just get the point that he's trying to make without him saying anything. And the fact that he started speaking kind of irks me, and I can't listen to those cutscenes.
Exactly. So you never enjoyed the old Sonic cartoons then, huh?
I did, actually. Saturday? Sonic Saturday AM, the Saturday morning one. the one that had like all the awesome PSAs at the end of it. I loved that show as a kid. But the other Sonic cartoons I never got into. They were trying to be too edgy, and I don't like it when they turn one of my childhood heroes into something that's supposed to be edgy and cool and way past cool. But,
Just growing up with the players.
Kinda. My Sonic's what, 30? No, he's 25, something like that. I don't know.
No idea.
Oh.
Close to that number though.
I think Generations was his 25th anniversary. Birthday. However you want. So he's almost as old as us. But the protagonists that I get into more are the more relatable ones. And I wanted to bring up a couple in particular. Two in particular that are different than the rest of them that I could think of as far as relatability goes. And that's Revan and Commander Shepard. Those two characters... Being able to make choices as those characters, does that do anything for you?
Revan, by the way, is Star Wars.
He's played
Knights of the Republic.
Yeah, I know that.
Have you played that?
Yes.
Oh, you have. I didn't know you played that game.
I think we talked about it episode 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
And Zalbar.
And outside of the podcast, multiple times, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, my mistake.
Thank you for the learning moment, though, Kyle.
Yes.
See, those kind of characters, I didn't care as much about Commander Shepard or Revan as much as I cared about the environments I was playing in those games. Those don't do as much for me as, say, Nathan Drake or Aloy. Right. I got more into Aloy as a character, way more into Nathan Drake as a character than I did Commander Shepard or Reverend Revan. It rhymes
Nailed
with
it.
Kevin. Why is it so hard for me to say?
That's so Raven.
That's so Revan.
Nice.
I didn't get as into the characters that I was actively making decisions for as much as I did the ones that had a story arc that was already written that I was playing through. Which I'm just now actually reflecting on that and realizing that.
Yeah, it's making me think about it too. Think about, like those games where you have those choices and you make, even when it is a character that speaks and has backstory and all that, like Shepard, it doesn't feel as engaging, I guess, as watching a story unfold already before you.
There are a couple exceptions in specifically KOTOR and Mass Effect, and it's when you make a decision that actually affects something. Like
Ragnar Queen. Rachni, sorry.
Yeah, the Rachni. And then the end of the first game when you essentially have to choose between, for some reason, saving Caden or for obvious reasons, saving Ashley. And those stuck with me a little bit more, but nowhere near to the point that Kratos and his son Atreus stuck with me in the new God of War. That also brings up the original Kratos from the first several hundred God of War games that came out before this year. And the more outrageous, the protagonists that just do really crazy stuff that makes them stand out. And I gotta get my list back out.
I mean, was Kratos the protagonist or the antagonist? It's a double... Yeah.
He's supposed to be the protagonist in his story. He is.
Yeah.
But characters like Bayonetta or Starkiller, HK-47, Duke Nukem, and even Meat Boy, to an extent, that are just more... And I know Meat Boy is kind of more along the lines of Sonic the Hedgehog, but I find him as an outrageous character just because of how expressive he is, and especially Dr. Fetus. Great name, but the characters in Super Meat Boy are just off the wall. That's a great analogy for the game, too.
It is.
But just ridiculous characters that stick with me. And it's for a different reason than Link being a mascot or Kyle Katarn from Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy being... I guess he's a side character in Jedi Academy. From the Jedi Knight series, being such a great story-driven protagonist.
I never got to play those Star Wars ones.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast is... I know I've talked about KOTOR being an honorable mention and Galaxies being my like favorite game of all time. But still, Jedi Outcast is one of my favorite games ever. Not just one of my favorite Star Wars games, but one of my favorite games.
Nice.
It is that good. Jedi Academy didn't stick with me as much.
I seem to recall you modded that too, didn't you?
I made some lightsaber designs. Yeah.
That were actually like featured, right?
They were listed on a modding website.
Okay.
But they weren't like featured by anything or
Oh,
anybody.
okay.
I just uploaded them to a site. And
That's
as of
right,
like a year ago, they were still up there.
Nice.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Don't think very many people actually downloaded them, but I liked them. I don't know what I was thinking. I made a red, white, and blue one. I made like a lightning saber. It just was like, it looked like it wasn't solid. It was just like little things of light sticking out everywhere. I don't know. It was weird. I was 12. I wasn't 12. I think I was more like 15, but still. However old I was. Kyle Katarn, though, is a really good protagonist, and not just in that game, but in that whole Jedi Knight series. His progression from becoming a Jedi Knight to renouncing the Jedi Order, and then come Jedi Knight 2, he's having to work his way back up to becoming a Jedi to stop Desan, and
It's too bad that wasn't the current trilogy of movies.
I know! Oh my goodness! The closest we got was Jan Ursa being kind of reminiscent of Jan Ors from Jedi Knight. It's kind of reminiscent, but not nearly enough.
Mispronounced the name at first, but that's okay.
Isn't it Jin?
Jin Urso.
Ursa,
Yeah.
whatever. Doesn't matter.
He said Jan Ursa
I said Jan Ors.
the second time.
Yeah.
The first time it sounded like you said Jan
Oh.
Ursa.
Maybe I was getting a little ahead of myself.
Maybe.
Yeah. Either way, she was a good character. That I wish they would have done those as movies and made them canon.
Yeah. That's another topic for another time.
That's another topic for another podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Not so video game related.
I have a question for Robert.
Yeah.
Out of all the Assassin's Creed games,
Mhm.
which one's your favorite protagonist?
I wrote down an answer for mine for that
Ooh.
already.
Because I know you're a huge fan of the
It's-
series.
Yeah. That's hard because I feel like,
I know you guys have talked a lot about Bayek.
yeah.
And for me, I'm still early in the game, so I'm not quite
Mhm.
as attached to him as a protagonist.
I didn't like Bayek as a character.
Oh, really?
I did not.
Oh, I thought you did.
Uh-uh.
That's
I-
interesting.
I really like Bayek, especially playing both DLCs now and getting a little more of him like a couple of years later after the events of the first game.
Mhm.
I really like Bayek a lot, but I think I'd still have to give the edge to Ezio
Mm-hmm.
because he had,
That's my answer.
3 games? Was it 3 or 4?
3.
I always forget. 3 games that had a full arc over 3 games. You know, you
Mhm.
met him when he's this young, brash, cocky Italian kid,
Getting
you know,
in
and
fights on the street.
yeah, climbing out of girls' windows.
Yeah.
And then ending, you know, the way he did, and he's all like master assassin, all
Mhm.
wise and gray and stuff.
Starting
and,
the Brotherhood, essentially.
yeah, and
Yeah, he's a great character.
yeah, I'd
Just seeing
say
him evolve over the course of the game series.
exactly is that evolution of his character that made him be a great protagonist throughout all 3 games. So I'd say he's my favorite.
I think I
Hands
talked
down.
about this on the podcast a little bit. I don't remember if it was the first or second episode, but I talked about how I didn't like Altair and I didn't like Bayek, but I liked Ezio.
Yeah, for me, Connor was just completely flat of a character. Like
I
as a
didn't
protagonist.
even remember him until you just brought him up.
I mean, that says a lot right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, his character was. I still love that game, but the character of Connor was.
It's my
Not
favorite
great.
Assassin's Creed game.
I still think Hatham Kenway should have been the protagonist for that particular game.
They were going for kind of a oh my god moment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I think they suffered for it. Or the game suffered for it.
I mean, I know you guys haven't played Rogue, right?
I played about 25% of it.
I mean, Shay is such a great protagonist for that series because you see his thinking behind. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, it's called Rogue anyway.
Yeah.
He joins the Templars.
Mhm.
I think that was in the marketing of the game.
It
so.
was.
Yeah. basically, that was really cool to see as from a protagonist point of view, like how he, discovers what the assassins are doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much reflecting what the Templars are doing, but the assassins are doing it on purpose to prevent widespread pandemonium.
Right.
But the Templars are actually trying to restore peace to this, at the time, a turbulent point of history. It was just really cool to see how he approached that choice of joining the Templars. It made it for a really fun game to play. And I guess going back to Ezio, seeing that little clip at that movie, the CGI movie of him being an old man, passing the torch.
Yeah.
I mean, that really wanted me to see, I think her name was Xiao Jun.
I think that's accurate.
Yeah. I know she's got her own game in, what was it, Assassin's Creed China?
Assassin's Creed Chronicles China.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see that game. Like a full-fledged Assassin's Creed game.
Okay. I was going to say, if you
Not
want to
just
see it, just watch a Let's Play of
Like,
it.
I want to see her story, like, in the Assassin's Creed world.
Gotcha.
And also the Russian guy that they did a comic series on.
They had him as the protagonist in Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia.
Yeah, like, I would love to see full-fledged games of that, just to see their stories as protagonists in that time in history. I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah.
But that's what I get out of that series, is seeing these protagonists in that point of history and what life was like back then.
There are some games like Assassin's Creed that the protagonist doesn't make the game to me. Like I said, my favorite Assassin's Creed game is Black Flag, but I didn't care for Connor.
You mean, oh gosh. Was that his
Connor
name?
was from 3.
3.
That's why I gave you a weird look when
Edward
you said,
Kenway.
that's my favorite Assassin's Creed game.
Edward
Oh.
Kenway.
I thought you were yanking my chain. Yeah, Edward was
Just
Black
imagine
Flag.
I said that sarcastically then. And I wasn't.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah, just got to take that back around. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Edward Kenway.
I was getting both those games confused. But yeah, either way, the protagonist in Black Flag didn't appeal to me. But the game was my favorite in the series.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Black Flag was just, gameplay-wise, it was having all these different elements just make the perfect game, with piracy being the main theme of it. But the protagonist was just, I didn't care for him.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's because he was kind of bland.
I mean, that and the awkward, modern day stuff kind of
Well, yeah, I guess it does take
away.
It does directly take you out of playing as him to play as the video game tester at Abstergo Entertainment or whatever.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track of which games had which current
Like the modern day
modern
hero
day
or
parts,
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a series. I want to talk about that, but that's another topic for another time.
How about you, Kevin? You got any more you want to list off?
I did want to mention that as much as I talk about God of War, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much if Kratos wasn't the character in that game that he was. If they would have made him Kratos of old and put it in that Norse setting and in the style of gameplay that it was, I don't think I would have gotten into it. And it was his interactions with Mimir and with Atreus and just with the environment and his growth as a character throughout that game that got me so heavily invested.
It was phenomenal to witness, like the character development in that game.
And that's why they
Incredible.
kept the camera how they did, is because they wanted that intimate feeling. And it worked. It really did.
I think that's why we see a lot of games now going for that perspective.
Yeah.
You see that with a lot of Sony exclusives.
Hellblade
And they're
Senua's
successful
Sacrifice
for a reason.
as well.
Yeah.
And that's a game... Sorry?
So having not played it, it's basically third-person view, though, right?
Over the shoulder, third person.
You talking God of
Okay.
War?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or because you were saying that Sony seems like they're doing it with all their things. So
yeah.
I haven't played it, so I didn't.
It's like
I thought
the
it was
same
just a
perspective
regular
as The
third
Last
person.
of Us,
Okay.
Uncharted, and
Gotcha.
Basically, yeah.
stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, games where I create my own character, I don't care as much about the character. I find out.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I-
am finding out.
Do you mean like first person or
Either.
like? Oh, either.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can see that because in Dark Souls, I feel that way too. Because I see it more as like an insertion point,
Yeah.
just for your own point of view.
My brain doesn't make that distinction between first and third person. I know that is a good way to get more involved with a character is to have it in first person, but for me it doesn't do anything. But I don't make the distinction in my head.
I mean, I also think about Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption. I feel like if the open world style of games where you make your own character,
Yeah.
that's also a thing. Like Saints Row, for example, did that. I think where you made your own character.
Yeah.
How would you feel of having that series with like a fixed protagonist that you don't have any like creative control over?
I wouldn't care. Honestly, the only thing that it did for me is made it so I could buy my own clothes in Saints Row. I didn't have a story in Saints Row. The Saints Row story is about the other characters, the secondary characters in the game. The main character is just the one traveling through their stories, and it's inconsequential. I just enjoy the game because of the mechanics. The characters suck, in my humble opinion.
I'd say definitely with a game like Skyrim, for me, it's creating the character and stuff. It's kind of okay. I'm there in the game for
the mechanics, the story, the playthrough.
The mechanics, the story, the character. I don't really care, what I'm playing as or what my story is. It's about exploring the world and doing all that.
Yeah,
and that's a game that's either first or third person. But I always played first person. But I was gonna say I'm kind of with you where it doesn't matter to me whether it's first or third. I think I prefer third person games. I like seeing my character, and I think that helps me to enjoy the story more.
I prefer third-person games when I'm playing on my PlayStation because I'm playing with a controller. I prefer first-person on my PC with a keyboard and mouse. I can't control first-person at all with a controller, and I can't do third-person nearly as well with the keyboard and mouse. It's just really awkward. I mean, I use a controller for my PC anyway, but
I was playing Doom with the controller, so maybe I should try it with mouse and keyboard this time.
if you're proficient with FPSs on a mouse and keyboard, that is definitely the way to play it.
Because I played Dishonored on mouse and keyboard, and I was so immersed in that game.
Okay, I play Doom with the mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, totally. And I wanted to talk on that as well. The choice in Dishonored 2 between Emily and Corvo, I mean, I felt like it was a bit of a hard choice to make. Because, you play as Corvo in the first game.
Yeah.
You want to experience something new. And plus, this is more so Emily's story. If you guys have played it, I'm not sure if you have.
No.
Okay, well,
I played a bit of the first one.
I played as Emily for my first playthrough, and I just didn't get as invested in the story of it. I felt like if I played as Corvo and saw his character development from the first game, I probably would have enjoyed it more. But it was a pretty forgettable experience for me. Dishonored 2. I don't know if you guys feel that way about multiple protagonists to choose from. If you have like a preference on what appeals to you.
I would have gone for the same choice as you. Played for the one. I would have gone for the one that was different than the first time around. If there's multiple options, then I kind of just go for the one that's least like anything else I play. Typically.
I mean, I was trying to think of another example, but I'm kind of hitting a wall there.
Grand Theft Auto 5, you had multiple protagonists.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
But you don't really choose between them.
No,
I mean, you do at the time.
Yeah, there are certain missions where you
one.
have to play as either one of them, but that was one where so you're playing as all three of them whenever you want. You're never worried about, any one of them, like anything bad happening to them. And the stakes aren't very high, but it's an interesting way for them to do it. I liked it. It was cool to have three different people and kind of have three different styles to play.
Yeah.
But
I liked how their backstories were all completely different, and the way they got into the stuff that you do in that game was all completely different circumstances. That was cool. I appreciated that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think this just Grand Theft Auto 5 in general, but that game didn't really stick with me as much as previous GTAs. I still think CJ from San Andreas was the best protagonist.
I agree.
Because he just had what you were mentioning. He had the lines where he would say stuff, and you would say, the thing before he would.
Right.
And that made the game fun.
I think back to GTA 3.
Oh.
And just the look of the protagonist with the leather jacket.
Tommy.
Yeah. Was that what his name was? I don't know.
That was Claude.
Claude, right. Tommy was Vice City.
Vice City.
Is it Tommy Vercetti?
Yeah.
Something like that? Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. Just the look made me feel cool. This is the way he looked. It looked like he was trying to be this cool New Yorker or Liberty Cityan. And I guess that's what you'd say.
I'm surprised you bring him up because he's a silent protagonist.
I know.
So you just would see him doing this crazy stuff on screen.
Yeah, and that's how he...
You're like, I wish that was me.
No,
kind of thing.
I don't wish I was, killing cops and crashing my car into other cars and stuff, but it's just the way that I got his personality out. Like, I was able to express the personality out of him that I wanted to via how I was playing. Rather than... It was actions, not words. I think that's what speaks to me more, is actions, not words. And like, wow, yeah, that ties that all around, because that's what I was saying about characters that you make choices for in Mass Effect and KOTOR. It's like those few choices that actually had consequences resonated with me more than just the, do I want blonde hair or brown hair or black hair in Prey? Or was that Prey? That you get to choose the hair color?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can create him a little bit, but not much.
I don't think that... No, it was...
Oh, no, I'm mistaken. You choose between a female and a male protagonist.
What game was I playing?
For Prey.
Never mind. That was a scene in Detroit Become Human.
Oh, yeah.
But I got to choose what haircut. Yeah, that's what... I was like, my fiance was watching me play a game, and I didn't remember what it was, but she wasn't watching me play Prey because that was on my computer. That makes sense.
Mariah, my girlfriend, she actually chose Kara's hair color for me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we went with the brown.
I went with the blonde, just because that's her hair color. It's Ashley's hair color, but I didn't ask her or anything. I just Ashley has short hair, and she cut the android cut her hair. Kara cut her hair short, and then asked me the hair color. I just looked at her, blonde. She's like, I knew you were gonna do that.
Nice,
love you.
The one protagonist that I wanted to talk about a little bit that I haven't brought up yet is Lara Croft. Because there are different iterations of her, similar to Kratos, but I view classic Lara Croft as one of those iconic characters, whereas in recent games, the origin story trilogy of her, she has much more character development, and she's much more of a relatable character than the outrageous, iconic, gun-toting, shooting at dinosaurs Tomb Raider that she was of past. And she is a character that has just grown up, unlike Sonic the Hedgehog, gone with the times, and has had so much, even if it's origin story development, it is character development that has made me care more about the character than I ever did in the original games. I don't have much experience with the original games.
Neither do I, no.
And I played most of the reboot Tomb Raider, and I actually liked the character a lot more because she had vulnerabilities, and she had goals, and she had a mission that she was trying to accomplish. And it really put me in that mindset of, oh, I'm stranded. I have no items, no weapons. I got this bow now, and people are trying to kill me.
What are you going to do to survive?
Yeah, it was that sense of danger that actually made me feel like that attachment, I suppose. Most games don't do that for me.
It's really rare. I know there's another character who's kind of in the same vein as you're describing. I think Batman in the Arkham series is very much like that. And that's what made the game so fun to play. You see him, triumphantly vanquish foes, but then he also gets knocked down a few times by certain villains. And
the Scarecrow part of Arkham Asylum was great. That was my favorite part of that game by far.
Yeah,
because it was Batman being helpless.
Never got that far.
Oh, you haven't played it?
I have played it. It's one of those games that I've started 2 or 3 times, and I always get a couple hours in, and it's usually right before another game comes out, and then I stop it to play that game, and I don't get back into it.
You're the comic book fan of the three of us.
It's really strange, right?
Yeah.
That's why I got all 3 of them with the Xbox sale, so sometime soon I will be starting them.
Oh, you're in for a good time.
There actually is one more protagonist, though, if you're done with the Batman thing.
Go ahead.
I was saying how making decisions as a character doesn't really affect me much, but I would still list Clementine as one of the better protagonists in a series. And I haven't played the Walking Dead Telltale games myself, but I've seen enough of them played and seen her grow up into what she's going to be in the new season that's coming out.
Yeah, the final one.
Yeah, and
I'm excited for that.
The trailer they showed of like her talking to the kid and the kid having a gun and stuff, and it just brought me back to the first episode of the first season when I think I don't remember much of that, but it was when she was helping out the guy. I don't remember the guy's name in season 1.
Lee, probably,
yeah, helping him out, and she's just like, "What's going on?" So overwhelmed, and now seeing Clementine in Lee's role, if that was his name, and this other kid in Clem's role, it's great character development, and it's a good way to wrap the story around.
I mean, season 3 is kind of like, the odd one out, but seasons 1 and 2, just seeing how Lee influenced Clementine and how she takes those lessons to heart and moves forward in this grueling world. It's a fantastic story, and even the side characters really well written. There's one in particular, I don't want to say too much, but he pretty much becomes this crutch for you in the second season, and there's choices you have to make that are just really difficult to make. But going back to Lee being in season 1, he was a great protagonist because he was so relatable as just the kind soul that wants to do good. You don't really see that too often in games. Like, you're either this gun-toting, kill everyone around you like Nathan Drake, who's like a serial killer at this point. With all the Uncharted games. I mean, he doesn't bat an eye. He just kills everybody around him.
He gets trophies for killing 150 people with any particular weapon, so...
Yeah, that's what it's all about for him, the treasure hunting. But, I feel like with certain games, I think another example would be like the Metal Gear Solid series, where you see this huge character development over time, in particular for Solid Snake. Seeing him grow as a character throughout the series, you don't have a lot of franchises that take risks like that. Having these established characters and changing them throughout the course of the game's or the franchise's life cycle.
I think we'll be seeing more of that now after the success of God of War, and seeing how they took that character and, from what I've seen, almost flipped it on its head, even though he's still running around killing things.
Well, I mean, that's what I was saying with Tomb Raider as well. They did the same thing. I agree. More companies are going to be taking some of those characters of old, and I would be actually really surprised if Halo Infinite humanizes Master Chief in any way, shape, or form.
It's long overdue.
I don't think they're going to very much.
Yeah,
he's Duke Nukem in my mind. Except I like Duke Nukem.
See, I love Master Chief as a protagonist because you feel like he's this guy that's always going to get everything done. You can always count on him. Even though there has been times where he's failed, it's like he's this larger than life figure. And it's actually one of those times where I enjoy playing someone like that and never being able to see him. And at this point, I hope they never show what he looks like. I
didn't even realize they hadn't.
Yeah.
Oh, they've teased it a lot over the years, but they
it's
never
always been one of those things. And are they going to show his face? And if it had been in the first game, it would have been okay with him taking the helmet off and seeing it. But now that it's been so long, it's better to just keep it a mystery because it's not about what he looks like. And so I guess he's kind of an analog for the player, where he's more supposed to be you instead of you playing as his character. That's one instance where I really enjoyed that type of protagonist. So, I don't think they're gonna do much. Probably a little bit, but they're not gonna do a whole lot of humanizing.
No, I mean, it's not really so much in the games, but additional lore for the series. There's the books.
The books were really good at that.
Yeah, I read all of the original trilogy books.
Dude, me too.
And
I haven't even played the original trilogy games.
One of my
played
favorite
Halo 1.
books is the Halo Reach, The Fall of Reach.
Yeah.
They show a lot of backstory for the Master Chief and what he went through.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just wish that kind of storytelling was in the game itself.
Right, instead of ancillary information.
It just feels like he's going through the motions. Just, oh, there's another thing I gotta blow up or kill, and the plot is based off of that more so than character based. Because you have Cortana, who kind of acts like
she's really the best character in
She's
those
the best
games,
character
even
in
though
the
she's
series.
not the main protagonist.
Yeah.
And she actually has an arc.
It's like I find that to be the case with BioShock Infinite, where Elizabeth was a much more compelling character than Booker was.
Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah. And she was the one character in a game that was essentially an escort mission the entire game, and it did not feel like a drag. It actually made the game better.
She actually helped.
Yeah. Rather than you think of Natalia in GoldenEye or
Oh God. Ashley from Resident Evil 4. That's a big one right there.
I whenever I think of an escort mission, I just get flashbacks of playing GoldenEye and just Natalia walking in front of me, and I shoot her all the time, and I'm not trying to at first.
Everyone's done that.
Yeah.
At least one point.
Yeah. God.
Exactly.
Those good times.
Well, it was kind of... I liked the game, but I loved the game.
Yeah.
But God. There are ways to make a secondary character, and BioShock Infinite did it.
They did, yeah.
So overall, I've actually found out a lot about the games that I like to play through this discussion. The characters that I like are the ones that I don't make the decisions for. I just get to see their story unfold in their own way, and the character development along the way. And relatable characters like Nathan Drake or Kratos or Lara Croft in the new series resonate with me a lot more. I don't know what... You guys are probably on a little bit of a different keel than me, but...
Saying we're almost the same there.
Same.
Because going back to, like I said, how I'm a huge movie buff and all that, I enjoy the video game experiences when it's like you're viewing a movie, but you're playing it. Yeah. So I like when it's those fully formed characters that have arcs, and I enjoy the other games where it's a little bit looser protagonist, where it's just you, because I love those for the gameplay because it's fun. But as storytelling and something I really get into, I definitely enjoy having a fully formed protagonist that is making their own choices, and I'm just along for the ride.
Go ahead.
I think a set narrative that is actually written beginning, middle, end is a lot better than making choices that kind of affect one thing or another. And there, especially in a game where you have so many different options to do things, you can only have, apparently in Mass Effect, 3 endings. I would rather have one defined ending that was well written than 3 choices between mediocre crap
that all pretty much end up the same.
Yeah.
Looking back on those types of games where you create your character, I find that the only real memorable moments you have with those characters is when a big plot twist happens, or you have to make a sudden choice about who lives and who dies.
Like I was saying earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, listen to Robert discuss the cinematic ones. I mean, those are the big moments that really stick out to you, where you have a character in front of you that you can relate to who, has his own opinions. And you internalize that more, I think, as a player, because you're just seeing that unfold, that scene. And it's more impactful that way. Whereas if you're, for example, in Mass Effect, you just have those certain moments where you have to make that gut-wrenching decision, but your character doesn't really express anything at all. It's basically what you're feeling in that moment. Like with Fallout.
Do you punch the reporter, or do you not punch the reporter?
Yeah. I mean, it's good for a laugh or so, but then...
Yes.
I mean, when you look back on the game, it doesn't really stick out as much.
The things that stick out more in Mass Effect are characters like Mordin and...
Side characters,
Yeah.
Definitely characters.
Yeah.
But your protagonist is pretty much forgettable. For the most part.
I mean, Commander Shepard is not my favorite protagonist in a video game.
I was thinking specifically of like the Fallout games, where you talk to all these people, but your protagonist is basically you, and you already know everything about yourself. So you're like, I don't care about that guy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I
Well put.
want to see a fantastic story
Mhm.
about someone else. I know my story. That's a really good point. I like that, Kyle. That's a really good
Yeah.
point. When I think of Fallout New Vegas, the only character that I remember is Moira. She's the only character that I remember the name of.
Because you shot her in the head so many times. She was so annoying.
I didn't find her that obnoxious. She was annoying, but it wasn't. I don't think it was to a detriment, in my opinion. And she stood out as an annoying character, yes, but not as.
Wait, wasn't she in Fallout 3?
I thought it was New Vegas. I thought it was like the Wasteland Survival Guide. You're right. You do the
Fallout 3.
Wasteland Survival Guide in Fallout 3, and they
Yes.
make a reference to it in Fallout New Vegas. You are correct. My bad.
But go ahead.
Yeah, she wasn't that annoying of a character, and she's the only one that I actually remember. I guess in the Fallout series, I can't think of anybody else's name in the series except Benny. I think was in New Vegas.
New Vegas, yeah.
I never even got to the Strip in New Vegas. It's the one area I didn't go to, so I never.
Oh,
beat the
so
game.
you never met like Mr. House or
No,
Oh, damn.
no. Yeah.
Hey, wow, I'm
I just remember
surprised.
Benny because he was voiced by Chandler,
Yeah.
Matthew Perry.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Could there be any more radiation?
Please tell me you actually said that.
I hope not.
He probably did.
That
There's
would've been
no
great.
radiation on the Strip. That
Well-
place was free of it. I think they actually had
For the
like
most part.
electricity and stuff too.
They did, yeah. New Vegas was fun.
I like actual Las Vegas. That place is fun.
Seems like a fun place.
Yeah, it was a good time to spend a few nights there. Next year, going for a week.
Nice.
Well, that's about all we've got for talking about protagonists this week. Next week, we're taking it to the other side and talking about our favorite antagonists.
Dun, dun, dun.
The villains.
Yeah, I love a good villain,
Mhm.
and that's why I wanted to talk about that. But this was a much better discussion than I thought it was going to be. I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't think we were going to actually have a solid hour of good conversation. I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Turned out much better than we all hoped.
I found out more about myself, and it's just another part of my story arc.
You got some character
There we go.
development.
Exactly. That's what we like.
You've grown as a protagonist.
Exactly.
Nice.
Well, I am tired. My legs hurt. I drove around a lot today, and now I'm sitting down doing this, so I'm just going to stop rambling now. If you guys have enjoyed listening to this podcast and me rambling with two guys that actually know what they're talking about,
Assume,
Sometimes.
yeah.
assume.
Allegedly.
That okay. That makes
That's
sense.
what I meant to say.
Please like, subscribe, follow, do whatever you want to. Pushing Buttons P on Twitter. PushingButtonsPodcast.com is the website. You can get links to everything.
YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's going to be stuff up there that's not just this podcast at some point. You just got to work with us. We all work full-time jobs, and it's hard to get time to do other stuff. But thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great week.
Take care. Thanks.
Love you.